Good morning once again. Let's stand for the prayer that will be led by Mr. Wayne Francis.
Let us all bow our heads, close our eyes. Our Heavenly Father, Maker of the universe, you have clothed yourself in majesty. You have guarded yourself with strength. Today we want to thank you so much for this day. And as we gather here in your presence, Lord, we pray that you lead us faithfully with whatever have to be done. And whatever have to be done, O Lord, let it be done for your glory and honor. Bless us all. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Keep standing for the pledge. I pledge myself.
And to guard my duty, to live the laws of men, to love my fellow citizens, and to defend my enemies towards happiness and prosperity.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning, Regional Chairman, Mr. Brian Alicott, Tushao of Massara, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Leland Sal, Central Housing and Planning Authority, Senior Councilors, Ms. Darius Williams, Operation Analysis, IDB, beneficiary, villagers all. This morning, my task here is to chair the program, and I must apologize for the late start. On behalf of the team, we scheduled start 11. I know people are here from since 8, waiting patiently for this moment. I will now call on the Massara Primary School for our welcome song. Give them a hand.
Three. Okay, we'll try it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
There's a welcome here, there's a welcome here, there's a welcome here for you. Gladly you come, have a joyful time. There's a grand welcome for you. Ure bandu anataze, tadashimbai komandu. Ure bandu anataze, tadashimbai komandu.
And everyone, back. 1, 2, 3, everyone. Welcome.
All right, give them a big hand here. They deserve something better. Now we will have the welcome remarks by Mr. Arnold Bartolome to show Massara.
Yardumang yang belamu surpek no gurai bansa planeta bai e baksa ngurang wai tuse murugre the heru tonum ke burung goman reban zamang regional chairman Brian Alicott, the CEO from the Central House and Planning and the IDB personnel. Simoro welcome ya sur time uta to ta ben konsulpe Welcome to Mrugere Band Yombla Musene Anaptazi Sara Hona Murikredani Tanki Tawe.
Thank you, Tushau. I will now call on Ms. Donald Bess Bascom, our Deputy Director for the project, to give an overview on the project.
Thank you, Chairperson, Mr. Chandrika Prasad, Regional Chairman, Mr. Brian Alicock, Tashau, Mr. Arnold Bartholomew, Massara Village, CEO, Mr. Leland Saul, Central Housing and Planning Authority, Deputy Tashau, Anai Village, Mr. Daniels, Senior Counsel from the communities of Massara, of Kwaimata, and Kwatamang. Ladies and gentlemen, all of Massara Village, Kwaimata, and Kwatamang, good morning to you. This morning, it is my pleasure to give the overview of the Sustainable Housing for the Hinterland project here in the North Rupununi. The Central Housing and Planning Authority, with the support of the IDB, has been working with the communities of Massara and Kwatamang for the past 9 years. Over the past 9 years, beginning in 2009, the CHPA, under the Hinterland Housing Program and the Sustainable Housing for the Hinterland Program, would have disbursed a total of 91 subsidies across the communities of Kwatamang, Massara, and Kwaimata. Under the Hinterland Housing Program, which commenced in 2009 and concluded in June 2014, we would have done a total of 19 subsidies at Massara and 35 at Kwatamang. Today, under the Sustainable Housing for the Hinterland Program, an additional 26 subsidies were done between Massara and Kwaimata and 10 at Kwatamang. Our experience with the communities being mentioned has been a very pleasant experience. We would have worked with the respective village councils and residents to design a housing solution that is suitable for this region and indigenous to this part of the country. If I were to direct your attention to the banner on my right, you would see the house, the beautiful house that's done at the top in burnt brick, which was designed by the residents of Anai, Massara, Katoka, and Kwatamang back in 2010. As a matter of fact, at that time, our esteemed regional chairman, Mr. Brian Alicock, was the CDO with the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, and he was from Kwatamang at that time, and he was an integral part of the design of this particular building. I remember Mr. Daniels was also one of the participants. The present vice to show of Anai was also part of that groundbreaking workshop. We would have also worked with the communities to develop a model that works in Region 9 in terms of how can this project be implemented in a way that allows residents to get maximum benefit. The results of the pre-feasibility study showed that there was a wealth of skills among the residents in Region 9. They were excellent builders. We learned that they were excellent brick makers as well, and that the area possessed a lot of the materials that we needed to construct the buildings. So we could have gotten wood here, burnt bricks. We would have been able to also get sand and stone. So all that had to be brought in would have been hardware materials. And that is the model that we use. Each house was constructed with a team of 5 persons, beneficiaries providing 3 persons to provide unskilled labor, while the project would have hired 2 persons from the village to construct each house, 2 skilled persons. The village councils, we found, worked extremely hard. They would have negotiated with their people to give us the materials to construct these homes at village rates. They would have also negotiated with their builders to give us the labor at village rates. I remember Quatamang stood out in my memory because when we did the first program at that time, there were 22 households who were eligible for funding under the program. And even though 22 were eligible, we may not have had funds to provide subsidies to 22 households. And so the village council at that time said to us, we want every single person to benefit. So we said, okay, this is the budget we have. What will you do to ensure that all of the 22 would have received some kind of benefit from the program? And Quatamang negotiated, and believe you me, all of the persons who were eligible at that time were able to benefit under the program. And so that's the kind of experience we've been having with these village councils. The communities in the North Rupununi have outperformed so far in this project the other communities we have been working with. It has been outstanding, both under the pilot as well as under this program. We found that the communities in the North were among the first to complete, some of them completing ahead of the schedule for the program. So yes, please put your hands together for yourselves. So when we say our experience with you has been positive, that is what we mean. It is also the communities in the North and some of the ones in Region 1 that I believe would have inspired the expansion of the program. Because when the Hinterland pilot was concluded and the basic nutrition program was reformulated, the monies were directed to the Hinterland for the expansion of a housing program, and I believe it's because of the outstanding performance of communities. So some communities were able to benefit. We went back to finish what had happened, because in Quatamang we found that while we were able to meet the immediate housing needs in terms of improving the structural quality, there were issues with overcrowding in some of the homes. And so it was necessary to go back a second time to address some of those needs, because even though some families, their housing condition would have improved in terms of the quality of the building, the size of the building was too small. We are aware that we have not still been able to address all of the housing needs within these communities, but we know that we have been able to bring some amount of relief to families within Quatamang, Massara, and Quaimato. So today it has been really wonderful working with you. There are some persons we'd really like to single out for special mention. The clerk of works that are here, Mr. Wayne and Mr. Walford Donald, if you can just identify yourselves so everyone knows who you are. The gentleman immaculately dressed in black. I almost said men in black on that side of the Benab. They've been very hard working, and we also have with them Mr. Cy Rodriguez, our very committed engineer who has been supporting the team of staff here. I'd also like to commend Mr. Chandrika Prasad for his hard work. I must also mention the outstanding support from the Regional Democratic Council throughout this entire process. The RDC Region 9 has been extremely supportive as we seek to implement these programs. So today, as we commission the houses here at Quaimato, Massara, and at Quatamang, a total of $54,499,000 was invested in the subsidies under this program in this part of the country. Of this amount, $31.2 million was paid to the village councils for the provision of labor, lumber, and transportation, creating employment for a total of 110 persons across the 3 communities. So even though every household may not have benefited from a house or a roof replacement, we know that many members of the community would have benefited from the employment aspect of the program as well. And this is what we believe at CHPA, that intervention should be holistic, not just affecting one aspect of development, but also impacting other areas. Reports during our closeout workshops indicated that the changes of this program has extended beyond just a housing solution. Community leaders reported increased participation from their residents in community activities. We had women reporting the importance of privacy and how much they value now having rooms for themselves and their children. Men reported learning new skills and loving the designs of the buildings that they would have had. We've also gotten reports in the reduction of certain diseases because there is now water. One of the things that really stood out from Massara was that the men reported that they are now getting food more earlier actually. The men are getting food earlier because the wives don't have to go as far to get water, and they're actually sleeping later. All right, so we're seeing all kinds of impacts coming out of the program. So today we want to say once again, thank you for your hard work, and may you continue to grow from strength to strength. You will be receiving, along with your keys today, a homeowner's handbook that really outlines to you how you can be able to maintain your structure, and if you desire to do improvements, it gives you some tips on how you can be able to do that. So thank you once again, and may the Lord continue to bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Donald. There is a slight changes in our program. I must apologize for that. Some of you that have program there, it's different and not because of our initial planning stage. We had planned to have the minister and the IDB rep and so here. So there is a changes in the program. It won't coincide with what you have there. We will go a little back, not too far, with the garlanding of two of these personnel for this function here. We will garland the CEO of Central Housing and Planning Authority on stage here. Poison to garland the CEO. And the next person is Miss Darius William, Operation Analysis for IDB. Thank you. Now there will be a cultural item from the resident of Quatamang.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. We would like to sing a celebration song. I don't know how you'll feel about your housing, what you'll get. So we got to celebrate it today. So I'm singing in Makushi.
Tashibando na zaman, tapu baila mera, tashibando ne zaman, tapu baila mera, tashibando ne zaman, yom dame tashibando na zaman, yom dame tashibando na zaman, tapu baila mera, yewe gondo ne zaman, tapu baila mera, yewe gondo ne zaman. Yom dame tashimbando na zaman, yom dame tashimbando na zaman, tapu baila mera yewe gondo ne zaman, tapu baila mera yewe gondo ne zaman, yom dame tashimbando zaman, yom dame tashimbando zaman, yom balame tashimbando kon, sirhe tashimbando. Yogon ishabu, yom dame tashimbando na zaman, yom dame tashimbando na zaman, tapu baila mera yewe gondo ne zaman, tapu baila mera yewe gondo ne zaman, yom dame tashimbando na zaman, yom dame tashimbando na zaman, tapu baila mera yewe gondo ne zaman.
Thank you, thank you. I think you should give them a bigger hand. They deserve something better than that. Now, we'll have our remarks from one of our most dedicated and hard-working staff, our engineer, Mr. Sai Rodriguez, who has spent a lot of time out than in his home. And I could remember a day I said, Sai, I take it one day when we going home. And we reached by the gate. Our children said, Mommy, come see when uncle come, see where you come for. That's the time that we're spending outside. So, so Sai, you are invited for our remarks here.
CEO, Mr. Lee Ansal, Regional Chairman, Mr. Brian Alcock, Tushao, Senior Councillors, staff of the CHPA, beneficiaries, residents of, good day. Mr. Chandrika said remarks. He forgot to say brief. So I will be brief. I would like to take this opportunity here to thank the people of Kwatamang Massara, Kwaimata, for their contribution towards the project while we were working on it. And I would like to single out Kwaimata more, saying that this was the first time they were getting the subsidies and they performed very well. When we had commenced work there, I had a feeling that we would not have got the type of outputs that we had. But once the hardware was there, everything just seemed to fall into place and we worked well. But I also like to thank my clerk of works, Mr. Wayne Francis, who worked here in Massara and also in Kwaimata, and Mr. Walford Donald, who was the clerk of works for Kwatamang, and he's now with us in Simone. For Walford, there's still much more work to be done because we hadn't built any house in Simone yet. But for Wayne, he's kind of relaxed now that for the past, since maybe 2012, he was working with us, and we know, I wouldn't say parting ways, but maybe easing up from seeing one another more often than not. The beneficiaries would work. Without you, we would not have been able to complete on time. I'd like to thank you for the kind of contribution you gave. You went beyond the regular 33 days of working on the house, but you also assisted in the fetching of the timber, the gravel. The beneficiaries of Kwaimata, who had to load the gravel in boats, the sand in boat, bring it across the Rupununi River, and then load it into a tractor to get it to their site. That was difficult to do because we know in other villages where it's not so difficult, the beneficiaries don't want to do it. To the RDC, I also appreciated the kind of assistance we got from you in terms of logistics. It must be noted that when we started here earlier in 2012 in the previous program, some of the locations we didn't know how to access, and you made it possible for us, and then now we know to access it by air, land, and water. So we can get into your communities at any time we need. For the people of Kwatamang, especially with the brick making, you outshine the others with the quality of bricks you're making, and we're now asking you to supply some of those bricks for our building expo that we'll be having in Georgetown in February. So see how far your skill is going. We know we're getting bricks from Trinidad, the clay bricks, but we want to showcase our own materials that we have, our own local materials. And we hope that maybe people from Rupununi living in Georgetown will buy those houses when we are on display and we're ready to sell. The village councils and the Quatamang, Massara, and also the senior councillors from Kwaimata, you would also work well with us. We know we had difficulties sometimes at the last minute, and when you needed it, when most you were disappointed in terms of payments, and I know you were pressured by the builders coming to you and saying what's going on when our payment is coming. We had equipment breakdown, especially here in Massara, with the tractor that delayed us somewhat. Nevertheless, we were able to complete our program. With this, I would just like to say thank you all for having me here.
Thank you, Mr. Sai, for that remarks. And now we'll have another brief remarks from a resident, a senior councillor. He is very cooperative. Anytime I call on him, even he's so busy, he won't answer at the same time, but he makes sure he return my call any hour in the night or any hour during the day once he see my missed call. He is very cooperative in getting this program off, and that is no one other than the Senior Counsel of Quatamang, Mr. Lekram Haynes. Mr. Lekram Haynes.
Good morning. We is it Nade. Uru Bebra uru introduce me to you. Just kidding. Forgive me if I don't know your name, visiting team, but I want to say Regional Chairman Brian Alicock, CEO, Chairman Tushao Massara, Villagers of Massara Council, the representative of CHPA, the media we have, other regional officials, villagers of Quataman, Kwaimata. All, good morning. I wish to express how happy I am today, this morning, to be with you. And you know, it's a time where I think we should celebrate our achievements. And we're all here. I think our achievement came by working collectively together. All the cooperation, despite all the challenges, we managed to achieve what we are here for right now. And Sai, the committed worker on behalf of the CHPA, you know, I agree that he's a hardworking individual, and you know, working with every one of you from all the different groups, we have managed to offer our villagers the type of benefit that they are looking for. So to you beneficiaries, I want to also say that the heavy burden has, you know, been taken off your shoulders, and it's time to move on, I must say, to do other things. Like someone mentioned that, you know, the meals are coming on time, and you know, you have water that you can access because of all the things that the housing program has given to you. And as a council, I want to also say thank you to the CHPA representative, the government, all of us here together, that, you know, we're thankful for the support that you have given us, the regional authorities, Brian Alcock especially. You know, I know is a very busy individual, but you know, he's always there to render advice and, you know, his contribution. There are all other persons here that I cannot mention, but you're all involved in this development of our communities. And I just want to urge our beneficiaries, Massara, Kwaimata, and Kwataman, to, you know, be thankful and take care of your homes and start doing other activities that is more economical and beneficial to our families. And as communities, I am sure we will go towards positive development in our villages. And as a council, and standing as the senior council of my village, I am committed and ready to go forward on other developments in my villages, and even in other villages. You have my support, and I'm willing to help wherever I can. With this brief remarks, I was given 3 minutes, and I think I'm gone beyond 3 minutes. I want to say thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Senior Counsel. Now we'll have another brief remarks from one of our most dedicated and committed staff of Central Housing and Planning Authority, who working long and tirelessly beyond the call of duty. He is no other than our CEO of Central Housing and Planning Authority, Mr. Leland Saul.
Honorable Chairman, Mr. Brian Alicock, Tushau, Mr. Bartholomew, I hope I got your name right, senior councilors, Ms. Deris Williams, representative of the Inter-American Development Bank, our valued partner, staff of CHPA, and most importantly, the people of Massara. Good morning. It's a pleasure being here. I must say that I find your village to be very something about it. It's wonderful, and it's a beautiful place to be. Fresh air and pretty quiet. Not what I'm accustomed to, and I wonder if I can come back and spend a day with you. I would want to apologize for the absence of the Honorable Minister and Vice President, Mr. Sidney Alicock. I think he's a native of this North Rupununi. Also, the Honorable Minister Ronald Bolkan. It was planned that they would have been here today, but unfortunately, because of Parliament, they could not have been here. And due to their absence also, the IDB country representative, she decided not to come because of course she is a high level representative and she would come only when the ministers are here. As you're aware, the CHPA is committed to providing housing for all. And through the government of Ghana and the IDB, this program was made possible, and it is basically meant to improve the living condition of vulnerable families in your community. And not only in the Rupununi or Hinterland we are doing program like this one. We have an ongoing program on the coastline where we try to address the housing needs of people and those who cannot or who find it difficult to improve their living condition. But importantly, now that your living condition, whatever condition you are living under, has improved, I want to urge you to strive for bigger things. Adequate housing is a basic need. It gives you a feeling of safety and security. And once you have fulfilled this need, I urge you to concentrate on other things because you're no longer distracted. You don't have to think about whether or not you will be resting comfortable tonight or whether you're exposed to the danger of insect, etc. And therefore, you must work relentlessly to improve your living condition in general to achieve other things, better education, better health, etc. And that is what I want to see in this community, and you must put all efforts together. Very importantly also, there are certain skills that you would have learned or improve on. These very burnt bricks that you're making, I think shortly we will try to buy some from you to take to the coast because we want to build 2 model houses on the coast. And depending how people respond to the product, perhaps we can partner with you in the near future so you would be able to supply us with burnt bricks to make houses on the coast. Ms. Donnell Best would have mentioned about all the significant things, the impact of this project. And I want you to think seriously about it, and all that the things that she mentioned about. I think she did mention, touch briefly on health, knowledge, knowledge transfer, and the participation and empowerment of our women. These are significant things that are all that will make lives better for you, and we should not take them for granted. We will continue to work with you, and we will continue to work, a matter of fact, with all communities across this country to ensure that citizens within communities benefit from adequate housing. Because if there is an absence of adequate housing, it means that our people will not be comfortable. And we want you to be comfortable like anybody else across this country. I don't want to take up much of your time, but I want to say that it's a pleasure being here. Even though I am being taunted by this garland, I recognize it. It is made from cashew nut, and so it got my saliva gland going over time. I don't know if somebody wants to torture me, right? So, with those few words, I will take my leave. I don't want to take up much of your time. Nevertheless, it's a pleasure being here, and I look forward to be back here some other time. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Now we will have a skit from the resident of Massara.
Children,
Yes, Papa.
I able with this life here. I punish them to my y'all already big enough. Y'all need to go and look for work. Yes, Papa. But I will take 3 of you to look for work by someone who will employ you under this situation. So children, y'all please cooperate with mommy and I will leave y'all. 3 of y'all, let's go and look for work for y'all. Come, let's go. Come, Papa, let's go.
See how we punish him?
Yes, sir.
Punishing all these days, so you have to look for work, that you're gonna look for work, yeah, you have to get something for us.
Mr. Blake?
And make sure you work good.
I am looking for a job for my 3 children.
Job?
I can't able with them. Them are disabled children.
Disabled?
Yes.
Seeing stars through our house?
Why don't you
We
will
have
upset
to
them?
do something.
Okay, here.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
bring him tomorrow at 7:30.
Even
Okay?
last night we could see the jet passing through our house roof.
Children, I am back here. I get through it. Job for y'all. Let's go.
Yes,
Let's go.
Alright, I have a big farm, I give them a work. Okay? Check them after a week. Okay? You? You could work?
Yes.
Yes, boss. Okay.
Yes, children, work for you. 3 went to work, so you need help.
You?
Remember they went to bring
I
one.
planted corn here, right? Corn. It's corn field.
Yes,
I
boss.
want you to dig hole while you're going, right? You
Too
fit
fast
for
for us
it,
to get one.
3 inch down, okay?
Yes, boss.
Alright, go! Work! You, from this hole, have corn inside, plant them. Whoa! How much in a hole? 3. What? You set for this one? Yeah. All right. Walk fast. Go over this walk fast. Okay. Over them. Okay, my friend. Come. Good work, kid. This class. Good work, kid. Thank you, man. Take a seat.
Yes, boss. I'm back here.
Okay, Mr. Blade.
How is my children?
These are your three children. They are very good working people. Anyway, they're trembling too much. Anyway, I want you to take these children home and then I pay them, okay?
They are children because the system is cold. They need to work.
Okay, I understand. You?
Thank you, boss.
You?
Thank you.
You. Thank you, boss. Thank you. Thank you, boss.
Let's go, children.
Okay, thank you, but this can't make a house for us. This only will buy food for us and a little slippers or something. Our children are very hungry. Yeah, come and eat. Just sit down. Husband, this is our money. And I want you to just go and buy rations for us. There's somebody else there. I will take it.
Outside.
Okay, you're welcome in.
I am the president of CHPA, which is Central Housing Planning Authority.
Oh, okay.
You are saying that we get a house?
Yes. What is your name?
My Mr. Blade.
How many children do you have?
I have 7 children.
Okay, so are we having home for ourselves?
Yes.
A poem to conclude to overall the skit what they just acted. People suffering, children crying, walls falling, roof leaking, many slumbering, flood occurring every year, sickness spreading everywhere. Then appeared the Central Housing and Planning Authority, trained the people at the workshop. Still, few people were less interested, but today they see the reality. No more suffering and less sicknesses. We say thanks for the houses to the Central Housing and Planning Authority, IDB, and the government of Guyana for enabling residents of Massara to develop. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll have our most important item here. We'll have our feature address by no other than Mr. Brian Alikak, Regional Chairman, Region 9. I could remember one time I was doing an interview in Kwaimata, and Mr. Brian was there and he waited along with me, and I end up very late in the night doing interview. We all come out together, and Mr. Brian there he had a first-hand look of what we are doing in the villages, how we conduct our interview, and the entire process for that day. So I would like to call on the Regional Chairman, Mr. Brian Alikak, for the feature address.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Chandrika. To show CEO, he's a colonel, you know. Yeah, if you all didn't know, right? Miss Deuris Williams, IDB representative. Miss Donnell, Deputy Director. Sai, we had a lot of gap coming through with Sai, Rodriguez, who is the engineer. Senior councillors, Deputy to show Anai, um, other councillors, other members of the communities, the beneficiaries, the media. A very good afternoon to you. I think it's after midday already. Yes. First of all, I feel so happy today in that I could come back once more to this village on this special occasion of the handing over of your houses to you. But before I go into the meat of things, when we started, some people were not there, and then, of course, I can tell you another secret is that Quatman won the design of the buildings. Out of the other communities that participated, Quatman Village won the design, right? And we were asked to design a building for $1 million, and ours came up to 998,000. So we saved $2,000 in designing that building. And when we had to do it, doing the practical things with the miniature building and to scale, right? So that is where this whole exercise started, so interesting. And then when the eventual work came on stream, the people were happy. We had some hiccups at one village, but nevertheless, we got it off and we were able to complete those buildings. That's apothecary. And, when I go to several meetings with my other colleagues, they say, how come you get housing in your region? Except for Region 1, because ourselves in Region 1 are the beneficiaries of the Hinterland Housing Project. And they would ask, how you get through with that, man? How we could get in? I said, talk to the CEO. He'll advise you what to do. So, and in such manner, we started the exercise. It was Gabriel Arboleda at the time. He was the consultant for IDB, and I can tell you too that it's the first time I get malaria in my life. I went to apothecary to do the normal consultation and exercise, and laziness in me, right? I asked the guys, how's the mosquito? No, I said 1-1. And I slept. I didn't know I got infected. 2 weeks after I started to feel the effects. Every other day fever. And at the time, I don't know if former Tesho could remember when they were doing the handing over. I sat in my vehicle right out here, listening to the handing over because I was getting fever, And until Monday, the following week, then I get the smears done the Sunday, and Monday I get the results. I had Vivax. But since then, thank God, I have not had a repeat. But it's not a good feeling, But let's talk about housing. Probably a lot of us never thought about where to get this far, Housing, or more so, generally a living place, The designs and everything, the beauty of it was created by the people in the communities. And, in that line, you get what you need to have in your villages. The thing is, it affects a lot of things. Remember the comments that were made before me, the shelter that you get over you. We used to have it, and I can address another aspect of things pertaining to housing, So what happened? Many governments have one or more housing authorities, sometimes also called a housing ministry, which we have central planning and housing, or housing department in some areas. Now, what happened is that, the then administration said, okay, let us see how best we could assist and establish hinterland program. And that's how, since then, I know Miss Donnell, you know. I think she'll reduce a little now, but she was real rosy in her face, right, when she came first, right? You know. And the thing is, you want to know how she was so active, even though she was carrying that size, right? But the exercise that she came and did in this area, keep her going. And anyone could have approached her, and that's her. You could go and speak with her, and she responds and listens to you. So, with that relationship being built with the central planning and housing, and through the engineer and Ms. Donnell, that is why we get such good results. The interaction, the relationship. And remember, they're representing the government. And this government here now continue this exercise and didn't leave it off. So today you'll be enjoying that comfort that is given to you. Some people say, I would never get this. It's very interesting. We ask them, what type of roof would you like to have? Everybody puts zinc. So, okay, why you want zinc? Give me some justification. Right here in Massara, one of the guys said, look, I get old. I can't fetch leaf from so far to sometimes 2 days fetching leaf to get down here. The other thing is the leaf getting rotting faster. Instead of 15 years and so 7 years, now it's rotting off. And the third one is we're doing conservation, how we can destroy the trees. The fourth one is when we catch the water, we can't drink it because all the dung coming down with it. So they had so many justifications, for changing from touch to zinc. And that was really interesting, So that is how we embark on this thing. And, we must thank the government for putting that in place, looking at our people in the hinterland. When you go on the coast, you will see the alignments and some of the housing schemes, various housing schemes. And from that stem, a Habitat for Humanity stem off, where IDB said, okay, we could get some money coming up here to do these things here, right? And you listen to the amount of millions that was spent in these 3 villages alone, right? There's other villages too in the second phase. We had 5 in the first phase, and then we include Karasabai, Sand Creek, Crowdar, and in this second phase. So, but before then, there was something like called informal housing, in developing countries like ours. And sometimes we get that. We have an influx of people coming into the village, either by marriage, either by looking for a place for work, and of course, the last one I choose to say is that the population development, the increase and the growth in the population. And Region 9, the indigenous communities have the record of growing rapidly in this country. We are really growing rapidly in terms of population, and that is why this, sometimes the informal housing setting would come in, because people put up here, there, and everywhere. And, the president was encouraging that, okay, why don't we align the buildings? And we're going to start somewhere, because we're looking at water catchment areas. I think we'll start in Napi. We're going to start align buildings around the water catchment so that they could have water, potable water, they could have energy, either from the solar or the hydro, so we are looking at that so that we'll have do away with this informal housing where everybody building all about, So as Daniel reported in 2009, this project was born, and the Inter-American Development Bank, they started the ball rolling and continues to do so. And she told about the nutritional program that the monies came from. And I think the objective of this was to improve livability of low-income families. That was the whole idea. Because if we look at ourselves, we would be able to build with a touch and whatever. But when you look at the continuous development and you want to be in the development aspect, that is why these things are changing. And a friend of mine came back from the States after 20 years, and she said, she came by road, and she said, look, when I left here, the entire Waweta was thatched roof. The only zinc roof was the school, the health center, and the teachers' quarters. Now almost the whole thing, when you come out and you hit the savannah, you're getting blind because it is zinc roofs, right? So that is continuous development. And you fly over, you'll see that vast change because of the intervention by the government as well as your own intervention where you say, okay, I have to get a proper roofing, proper thing. And I'm so happy that the CEO said that, they'll take some bricks from you. A lot of people are interested in the bricks, but some people say, okay, I want 40,000 now. Can you supply that? So, Quataman, I think you'll have your project, with the brick making, and see how best you could address that. Make and store, because you don't know when you'll get called to supply these bricks, right? So the other aspect that Donald referred to is accessibility to potable water. The supply of the black tanks, we normally refer them to the 400-gallon tank with the guttering and so, you're able to get water right in your homes, as well as more sanitation is observed in that you have. I think the change is design now. You're given pit toilets outside. I don't know if it's changed. The steel pit. Okay, but right with the VIP toilets. No? Yeah. So these are the things we're looking at, and of course, one aspect and one main aspect is the promotion of the women empowerment. When I came back to this region, I came back with UNDP as a driver, but I am a trained agriculturist and a veterinarian. So, but I came back to work in my region, and nobody really know. All my brother know that I had these things, and then he asked me to advise as I go around in agriculture. But we were working with the women's group in the north, and I used to admire the Massara women's group. I don't know if they still have it today. Every time they say, come and see what we plant, or this is our embroidery, and they do beautiful embroidery, So that is how you're empowering the women. The sewing groups. But you know what? Break up all these sewing groups. Yeah, I want to tell you all. The first thing, I see some women start missing from the sewing group. So I said, what happened? Say, my husband, every time I get a little money, beating me up with money to buy rum. That's one. The other one is, oh, you're going to reach another man. And that is why the women start to keep away. And that is what dissolved almost all the groups we had in this North Rupununi. Very sad. It's because of simple reasoning and understand our men folks didn't have. That is why we want to re-emphasize the aspect of empowering the women again. You know, you get your thing, and now I don't know if everybody get solar lighting, but you know you could transfer it from the old building that you had to the new one, and you continue to have your lights and so. Right. So the community participation was really good in that. You know, you design your building, to show them, councillors and the general public decide who would be the first beneficiaries in this project. And that was great. Because I was in one of the meetings when they selected the most needy of the needy people, right? And then, of course, Donnell explained how the bargaining came about and more people benefited, and which was really great in that. That's why I tell you, you could, you know, bargain through her. You know, she have that tact in her. So the other aspect is the what was the criteria for selection. Some people don't know up to now why and who selected these communities. Well, of course, at that time it was Ministry of Armed Affairs who did the selection of the villages. I didn't like it because I said I have 5 sub-districts in the region, and we wanted 5 villages from the region, and 4 from the north and 1 from central was selected. You know, so but now we are addressing the others, and thanks to the present administration, the government, that you know they're addressing the others now. So thank you for that. So, but in order to qualify for this funding, you had to the communities must be in region 1 and 9, and some amount of high level of poverty within the villages. You know, sometimes we're really poor, but in terms of housing, you know, we're looking at that level. Cultural cohesion in communities. And if you listen to Donald's presentation, people are very cohesive. And I told Minister Norton, and when he's coming to talk about cohesion, I said, we should be telling you about cohesion, you know, because from the time we born into a cohesive society, you know, a community. And he started to laugh, right? So, and the other aspect of it is that the organizational strength of the village council. We look at that too in order to have you being part of this thing. And of course, you must be a titled community, right? So the the project now, you know, we had the different figures and so already spoken of by Donald. And then of course, what were the outcomes? You know, the outcomes is to reduce the overcrowding in, because remember we all live in one. Sometimes in some buildings the whole thing open and just the hammocks tie up, right, in the building. And of course you make a kitchen outside or inside, and that is why one of the aspects that cater for is the overcrowding in your homes. So now you have more than one building that you could live in. I spoke about the drinking water already, the sanitary conditions, the social cohesion, you know, and the employment of people. You see how many people were employed? Over 100 people were employed, you know, within these 3 communities here. And there's over 300 persons being employed within the entire hinterland community, you know. So employment, our people got something there. And I try to encourage the village council, when you have projects in your villages up to $5 million, come into the office. You know, even though it might be tendered out, you could have it because we have a provision there where we could give the village councils up to $5 million on a project, right? So that when the contractors come in here, they take out everything. All they left is the cigarette and beer's money, or garbage, a lot of plastic. But if you get the project, the money stays here, circulating the village, right? So think about that employment, uh, and of course the overall improvement in improved housing conditions in our hinterland household. You see the difference? The last heavy rains we had 5 buildings coming down in Sand Creek. The walls fell down because it's adobe walls, and when the rain get it and the water, it become loose. But I don't know if the water can lose these now, the concrete and the clay blocks. So we get a better, improved housing condition. And of course, CEO and Donald mentioned about the learning and gaining experience of the persons within the community, within the housing, central housing planning staff, I know both ends learn something from this whole project, you know. And then of course the last one, and I mentioned it over and over, women's empowerment. So those were the project outcomes, and I'd like to say that we must thank the government for what they have done. We must thank them, and don't forget, continue to pray to God so that He could continue to lend more support, through some means or the other. So we continue this development process that has started, and people will be safer, I know safer housing, and more secure to be within your new homes. And do enjoy it. And I must thank the CEO and the team that came from Georgetown for being with us in this region. And the thing is, I'm so proud of this region in that, everything is a pilot in this region, right? And I told the president soon I'll have to get planes. He said, why? I said, I got so many pilots. I ain't got no plane to fly them. And he started to laugh. He said, so, we were talking about the planes and so. He said, and I ain't got none. I said, but we get 3 the other day. What are you doing with them? Starbuck GAC, use the Beechcraft and the other, the one that we got before, the Caravan. But give this Cessna, which is the fast one, to the military to do the reconnaissance, and he started to laugh. He said, that's not so easy to be done. No, but, we ought to thank the government for this. And I know that people will remember this, for a long time, right? And that is the kind of development mark we should leave, and I'm happy to be part of this whole exercise. So I tell them when I come out here 2020, I must leave something that people could see that, okay, during my tenure, we got this, this, and that. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Regional Chairman. Now, residents, I hope you heard and take in what our chairman said. And as was mentioned in many of our workshops, that you are hoping that God will provide some more housing to satisfy the housing need. Now we'll have the most important item here, which is for you, the beneficiary, the handing over ceremony of the key. We'll have in the following order: Kwaimata keys will be handed over by our CEO, Mr. Leland Sal, assisted by Antoinette Bennett, Senior Committee Development Officer. Lisa Roberts here. Bartram George and Doreen Francisco. Bartram George and Doreen Francisco. In the meantime, Lorindo and Patricia Robert. Walton James and Eslyn Roberts follow. John Agustin and Jovina Robert. Mr. Morgan and Yovni Lawrence. Prepare for Mr. Danford and Hilda Lawrence. Godsey and Lucy Sutherland. Godsey and Lucy Sutherland. Followed by Karen and Patrick Robert. And Dario and Janet Clarence. Roberts and Sylvina Agustin. And Marvin and Norva Francis. Marvin here. And finally we'll have Clive and Teresa Edwards. Alex Jackson and Marlene Brown. Alex Jackson and Marlene Brown here. Followed by Lucivendo and Moses and Darcelina Roberts. Followed by Jeffrey and Lorna Salty. Cambridge and Shem Jacobs, followed by Carlton and Winifred Moses, Grayson Taylor and Lynette Daniels, King and Elton Atkinson. Warley King. Alright, this will uplift by the Senior Council. And Kenty Peters and Rosita Andrews. And Arcelia Roberts and Ferdinand Moses. Then we have the only Ruffin beneficiary, Colin Singh and Cynthia Domingo. Thank you, Ms. Darius. Thank you, Antoinette. Right, now, Regional Chairman and Regional Housing Officer for Massara, Newton and Linda Bartolome, Dave Gregg, George. Gregory. Dave Gregory. Clifford and Jennifer Nazarene. Followed by Frank and Sonia Joseph. And Joseph and Elaine Francis. Joseph and Olaf George. Dennis Bramor and Tracy. Brenda and Tracy King. Is King? Wrong. Tracy Wrong. Kelly and Minora Moses. Linda Marcelo. Linda here. Janet and Nick Jeffries. Mildred Francis. Mildred Francis. Noel and Olinda Nazarene. And finally, Jesse Brown. Jesse Brown. Thank you, Regional Chairman. Thank you, Michelle. One more. Sorry, there is a roofing beneficiary from Massara. El Solomon and Leah Root. Thank you.
Regional Chairman, Region 9, our Regional Chairman, the CEO, sorry, I don't know your name, Tushao of Massara, Senior Council of Quataman, Senior Council of Kwaimata. Indeed, today is a blessed day. Good afternoon to you all. I'm very happy and I feel pleased this afternoon about this occasion, this pleasant occasion. Indeed, it's a pleasure, I guess not for me alone, but for all. And please be proud of yourself. And I would like to thank the regional chairman who was the CDO during those days for his successful leadership as a CDO during those days and continue and excel as a regional chairman presently. Thank you so much. Presently, as we all know, all things come to an end, which I wouldn't like it to happen now, but it have to, because I'm very much happy seeing this kit where persons tremble, and indeed it's the real fact, right? We all know it as a fact where a lot of those happen, but when happy times come, we all end up laughing at that. I'm so happy to be here, and for the team, I would like you to give us this continuous support as we all do the same as usual. And as regional chairman quoted that he feel very pleased of being a Rupununi child. I feel the same as well. I would mostly speak about him because we are the RDC also, where he gave us some advice, as you said, give us some advice, and a lot more from his experience. And sitting beside him, also he recognized to us that he's a soldier. So he's a soldier also. So we also have to join hands and continue to be soldiers in all. Thank you so much for the hard working. Nothing is going to come so easy, but as it also quoted in the Bible, we have to work for our bread to have success and to make comfort for our future, our children, so that in future we can know that indeed we secure.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I feel honored to stand here today to express my gratitude and sincere thanks to the visiting team of the Ministry of Communities, recognizing his staff from CHPA, Central Housing and Planning Authority, CEO, Mr. Lelonsal, to the Deputy Director of Communities, Ms. Donnell Bisbaston, importantly recognizing the IDB representative, Denise Williams, Operations Analysis, the regional authorities, regional chairman, Mr. Brian Alicock, the CDO, Ellis Brush. On behalf of the three villages, Kwatamang, Massara, Kwaimata, I want to express my acknowledgement to each and every one of you for your great collaboration, dedication, determination, consideration, and commitment on this project. You have contributed an integral part towards this project and successfully achieving them on time. You are leaving us with nothing but with happy faces for those who have gotten the keys to have a comfortable home. Thank you so much. This is a stepping stone towards development, and I want to commend you for your great support towards development of this community. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, we have the cutting of the ribbon, which will done at Mr. Leo and Shirley Gregory, resident north of this building. You all will stand and allow the regional chairman and CEO from their table to proceed first, then we'll follow for observing the cutting of the ribbon. Stand, please.